It was circling the deer blind. Its steps were soft and slow, intentional and almost silent. Almost. It had been doing this for nearly 15 minutes, trying to find any weak point in the structure. The hunter knew the folklore, he knew the foe he was up against, and he knew the rules. Make it to dawn. It doesn't like the sun. If it's making noise, it means you're safe. It's when things go silent that you have to worry. Don't look it in the eyes, and never believe it. There were only two ways into the deer blind: the locked door, which required his key to open from the outside, as well as the incredibly small window used to fire his rifle from when hunting. Both were securely fastened from inside. As the minutes passed by, he kept trying to catch a glimpse of it through the slot of the small window, but it always seemed to duck out of view before he could ever lay eyes on it. He knew from the tales it was smart, that it might even try talking to him in a familiar voice. Anything to get him to come out. But for the next hour until the sun came up, he was staying put. It was so cold, the deer blind barely insulated the frost of the snow outside. How he longed for a warm cup of coffee and to be removed from this situation. He was not the first to be in this predicament, and likely not the last. He smirked, thinking how no one would ever believe he actually experienced it stalking him. But surely they'd come to understand. When a hunter of 15 years never returns to the woods again, there's good reason. The sun was close to breaking over the horizon. He could see glimmers of light through the cedar slats. He remembered he still had a cigarette left. He fished the lighter out of one pocket and the cigarette from the other, placing it in his mouth. As he lit the flame and brought it close to his mouth, he paused. Silence. Was he sure? Maybe it was just very quiet. He waited. Then, nothing. His heart began to race. He didn't understand. It couldn't get in. Everything was secure. Could it have left, or was this one of the tricks it played on its prey? The hunter froze. Ice shooting into his veins. His stomach dropped. His heart began to explode in his chest. He slipped his hand back into his pocket, where he grabbed the lighter. It only took a moment to confirm his fear. His finger slipped through the key-sized hole at the bottom of his pocket. The hairs on his neck stood up, and as he heard the almost sound of the lock opening behind him, a cool breeze crept into the blind, accompanied by the sound of the door hinges slowly opening. He closed his eyes, and the last thing he heard was nothing at all. Everyone in my town only wants me to save them, and it's been like this for 3 months, and I have no idea why they want me to save them. I just keep to myself, not saying hello to anybody, and smoking weed whenever I get the chance. I am not the type to save people. It started off 3 months ago, when a child got stuck on a tree, and as his parents tried to get him down by climbing up the tree, the boy didn't want to come down as he kept on shouting, "I want Riley to save me." And if you haven't figured it out yet, I am Riley. I was witnessing this as I was walking by. The kid then pointed towards me, begging me to save him, even though his parents could have saved him easily at any moment, but for some odd reason did not. But I just walked on, and the kid fell and broke a few bones. The parents blamed me for those injuries, but I just walked away, and as I got onto another street, there was a burning building, where most residents had run out, so only a woman was left behind. as she didn't want to come out because she wanted me to save her. She kept shouting, "I want Riley Finnegan to save me or else I will burn." And the firemen could easily have saved her, but she refused them and wouldn't come out. She pointed at me as I was just walking along, witnessing this fire growing around this building, until it became impossible to save her and she burned alive. People started shouting at me for not saving her, but I retorted that the firemen could have easily saved her when the fire was weak. So I ignored all of them and just kept walking. A few months went by and I kept on getting strangers who found themselves in a conundrum, like sinking into quicksand or were drowning, but refused to be saved as they only wanted me to save them. If anyone else tried to save them, they will either stab them or fight them. These people who wanted me saving them even knew where I had lived. So I got strangers knocking at my door, asking me to save someone, as they were only asking for me to save them. I denied all of them, and everyone in my area now looked at me as an asshole. Then a couple of weeks ago, I woke up hearing my name outside, and as I stepped outside, 90% of the town's people were on the roofs, asking me to save them. I am just standing watching them. And it is a small town, where old traditions are still followed. I am just walking away, watching them fall off from the rooftops. After all, I am not a hero. I stood in the mirror, wiping the mascara tears from my face. It was a rough day. I must have dropped my pamphlet by the door, because it didn't occur to me until typing this that I didn't have it, when I heard a frantic knock at my door. I open it, and my dear friend Jessica runs in. I stare at her in bewilderment. It's her, I know it's her. But she looks off. Her hair is a mess, and she's wearing the same dress she had on earlier, and no shoes. She leaves muddy footprints all over my hardwood floor. Her skin is sickly pale, the makeup she had on is gone. I look in her icy blue eyes. They look cold, almost clouded, and empty. "Don't send me back, Laura," she begs me in a voice that nearly sounds angry. "I don't want to fracking go back. It hurts. It hurts so much," she says, her eyes wide open and locked on me. "Jess, I don't understand." "What are?" I was cut off by her hand gripping my shoulder. Her skin was so cold, and she was so strong, it hurt my skin. She was holding on for dear life. I never want to go there again. It's dark. I shouldn't have left. I changed my mind, please. I'm sorry. I'll do anything. Please let me come home. They hurt me. Please. She begs me. For some reason, this is the first time I notice she hasn't blinked once. "Don't send me, Bar." She stops mid-sentence, her jaw gaping open, unnaturally wide. Those eyes frozen on me. I pry her still hand off my arm and slump back against the wall and slide to the ground, silently crying. A long, quiet groan escapes her still mouth. "Go." She snaps her head from side to side. An audible crunch can be heard each time she does this. Her groan never wavering. She twists her wrists around as if she's trying to crack them, and the weak old wounds on them tear open as she does this. Black blood spills out the slits, and she walks backwards towards the door. Her movements are unnatural, like a separate force is controlling her legs. This was a half hour ago. I don't know what to do or who to tell. Who would believe me? I wouldn't even believe myself if it wasn't for the black blood drops that tainted the front page of my pamphlet. A single drop found its way on the header that said, "In loving memory of Jessica, Jamie Olsen."
Please subscribe or the toxic skull will come for you.